nobody got hurt.
No, and not only was the decision not vindicated, his own answer undercuts it.
Wow.
He says one of the reasons we wanted to play was to clean some things up, which last time they played, this team defensively didn't look good, looked better than this.
Yeah.
And we know the offense is awesome. We know Ben Johnson has an endless supply of trick plays. Some he came up with on his own. Some he took right out of the Chiefs playbook of the lateral.
Dying to
like which is great. And that, by the way, I was watching this game with my 11-year-old Deanna, who's kind of becoming a football fan. And I said, when you're an adult, I bet that is a standard NFL play. The throw it short, lateral for the extra yards. Yeah, I think that train is coming down the tracks over the next few years.
Pro lateral.
And it's right now defenses are so attuned. So that's great. But I don't think they needed to work on that. And what they did accomplish was the following, neither of which is positive. One, further evidence that this defense is awful. And I know if we set the line of demarcation at the Hutchinson injury, it looks fine.
Right.
And they did recover from that. Really, they dealt with it. But the last 4 weeks, once the injuries piled up, once they lost another key defensive lineman, that's what they've been defensively. And I'm horrible. And that opponent passer rating number is horrible. And that opponent points per game number, of course, would be the worst in the league. And the other thing they accomplished last night was guarantee that instead of going into the biggest regular season game in Lions franchise history and one of the biggest regular season games in NFL history with key guys on extra rest, they guaranteed they go into the game with the entire team on short rest. And how much does that matter? Well, the first matchup where they hit the game-winning field goal with 15 seconds left was literally as close as any game in the NFL all season. Passing yards, 3 off. Rush yards, 5 off. Third downs, giveaways, identical. Time of possession as close as you can get without it being dead even. So I just think it was a mistake. I don't think they gained anything tangible, and I know they lost tangible rest. So I think it's a mistake.
Okay. Nick is 100% wrong here. Outside of the resting is a real thing. I've spoken about that a million times, and I am a firm believer in rest, as you guys know, with my Saquon Barkley and going for the record and all of that take. So that's just also my own direct experience and expertise with the human body itself, muscles, all that stuff. But that aside, this is who the Detroit Lions are. And this is who the Detroit Lions need to be. And they need to be this more than ever, especially with all of their defensive issues or, defensive injuries. So, again, and I unpacked that game in week 7. I talked about how close it was and how crazy it was. So we're not going to go back in time there. But when we look at the defense, obviously the defense is not what it was. That's fine. But in terms of them playing, on one side, getting extra rest, I think really can matter and could be a huge benefit. But because of who the Lions are, I think they really are the team that they can't take the foot off the gas for even a second. For not even a second. The moment they do fall. It's kind of the don't look down mentality. Or, think about how hard you work maybe throughout your life, throughout your year. And if you do now have extended time off, whether it's because of the holidays or because you're fortunate enough to be able to go on a real vacation, getting started again feels so much more difficult. The basic things that you could normally do from work now feel like, oh my God, this is such a grunt. Just answering an email or whatever it may, whatever you do professionally, writing up an invoice, an evaluation, you're just and that's kind of who the Lions are. They just ball till they fall. They go so hard. Did you see how intense they were? Ben Johnson on the sideline, screaming and pumping his fist. They were acting like this was the NFC Championship game. And that's what they do. They really treat every single game like it's all hands on deck. And I got news for you. That mentality is very easily broken. It is. So it's like you got to keep going and going and going. When you keep preaching, we got to play hard. We got to practice hard. We got to go hard. We got to eat hard. Like, we just do everything to the next level. It's just this level of intensity that is just so loud that you have to keep sending that message to the players that this is the way it is. This is the way it goes. This is the way it needs to be. That's what the Lions need to maximize who they are as a team. That's what the Lions need to do to elevate their backup defensive players to make everyone feel they're connected. That's what they need out of their offense to feel like, hey, you know what? Maybe our defense is lacking and our offense needs to pick up some of this burden, so we got to go. It's this relentlessness. It's why they keep going for it on fourth down. It's this mentality of constantly pushing the other team into a corner, off the ledge. That's what it was. Yeah, guess what, 49ers? You're putting some points on us. The moment you don't is the moment you lose. So we are just going to keep going and going and going. The moment you fumble, the moment you have an interception, the moment you miss a field goal, it's over. It's over. Good luck playing with that amount of pressure now, because we're betting on the fact that you can handle that. That's what we're banking on. The moment you have a 3 and out, goodbye. The moment you give us ideal field position, goodbye. The moment you give us an inch, we're taking an entire city, an entire state. We don't need a mile. We got the whole earth. It's just such an extra level of intensity that playing even a game like this continues to send that message. So yeah, in a perfect world, you want that rest. And for other teams in different situations, I would say rest. If this team was 100% healthy, I don't know where I would land on that, honestly. I'd have to think about it a little bit longer, because it wouldn't undercut everything I just said, but it's just like, could you kind of have your cake and eat it too? Could you send the message, hey, we can take this game off because that's how good we are, and we are going to rest up so we can dominate the Vikings, and we need to get these other guys to kind of get back in the fold because we never know when we're going to need them. You know, like you could sell it. You can't sell it at this point considering how this season has unfolded. And so I think from a momentum standpoint, it is important. And I think that is what they've been able to accomplish. I wouldn't say that playing the starters is vindicated, because I don't view it that way. But I certainly don't see it as a failure or just that it was wrong and that it was somehow proven wrong. Like what Nick is saying, like that doesn't make sense to me either. The rest, like I'll say one more time, is an absolute real thing. Absolutely. Positively. Undeniably. But I think also getting this win and playing in the way that they continue to play is also important to kind of just keep that momentum going. To keep. I was working at a rehab. The job was so intense. I was in an awful relationship, and it was just, I had to just keep going. I couldn't stop because it was just like, you got to keep going. And, working in this massively intense, high stakes, like true lives are at risk. And it was just, overworked, underpaid, all of that good stuff. In a terrible relationship that was also pulling me down. And it was just like, okay. And the moment I quit, the moment I broke up, in the relationship and all of that, my body actually collapsed. Seriously, I got violently sick for months. No exaggeration, violently sick for months and months and months. And it was so hard to kind of get back. And I went to the doctors and I was like, I don't understand. And they're like, oh, you must be so stressed or this or that, like all of this is happening. And I was like, but I was working. I went through like one of the hardest times in my life, doing such insane things under such insane pressure and stress and anxiety. And yet I didn't have any of these issues. Why is it now? And they were like, your body held it together. Your body understood what you were asking it to do. And then the moment you took your foot off the gas, your body was like, oh, thank God. and it just like let go. And you see this with soldiers. I mean, you see this in lots of professions, honestly, in lots of various situations. It's like the moment you can just let out a sigh of relief, it's like your body's like, okay, great. I've been holding this together for as long as I could. Best of luck, bud. I held it together when you needed it the most, and then we let go, and it's like, you know, see what you can do now. It's up to you. And that's kind of where the Lions are at right now. That's where they're at. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Detroit Lions? Do you think that they were vindicated for playing? Do you agree with Nick that it was the bad move? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.